The story begins inside an old convent where Sister Mary sits silently in front of a painting, praying with full focus. After a moment, she lifts her veil, moves the painting aside, and hides a secret message written on the wall. Quickly and quietly, Mary sneaks into Mother Superior's office, steals her keys, and runs toward the main gate, shaking with fear. She tries key after key as four nuns slowly walk toward her. The lock finally opens, but the chain stops the gate from opening fully. Mary squeezes herself through the narrow gap. But just as she falls to the other side, a nun grabs her leg, slams it against the iron bars, and breaks it. Mary screams in pain and passes out. When she wakes up, everything is pitch black. She lights a match and freezes in horror. She is trapped inside a coffin. They have buried her alive. Crying and terrified, she tries to push the lid, but it doesn't move at all. Her screams fade into silence. The scene then cuts to a new place. An American girl, Cecilia, stands at the Italy customs office. The officers question her about not having a return ticket and not knowing Italian. They think she is wasting her life joining a convent, but after checking her documents, they finally let her go. A few hours later, Deacon Enzo arrives to pick her up and drives her to the convent. Mother Superior welcomes her in Italian, and Isabel translates for her. Isabel is ordered to show Cecilia her room, though it's clear she is not happy about it. As they walk, Isabel explains that the convent was built in 1632, right above the St. Stephen catacombs, where no one is allowed to enter. They pass through rooms where many elderly nuns live. Isabel casually mentions that one nun will die next week because of a tumor, which scares Cecilia, but Isabel behaves as if it's completely normal. They meet Francesca, an old nun with dementia who keeps asking about her father. Isabel leads her away and tells Cecilia that the easiest way to deal with her is just to play along. Walking through the corridor, Cecilia hears a choir singing and stops, listening. She notices a nun staring at her strangely from a distance, but Isabel quickly pulls her away and explains the daily schedule. When Cecilia says she is honored to serve here, Isabel replies sarcastically that life here is not as easy as it looks. Later in the bathroom, Gwen appears suddenly and starts talking to Cecilia. Cecilia explains that her church back home closed because no one came anymore, and Father Tedeschi chose her to come here. Gwen warns her that Tedeschi is very good at finding people who are trying to hide something. In the evening, there is a special ceremony for the new nuns. All the girls walk with candles through the hall, and Cecilia meets Father Tedeschi for the first time. Cardinal Franco gives blessings to each girl, and Tedeschi translates for Cecilia and hands her a rosary. As Cecilia takes her vows, she smiles, but hesitates slightly before kissing the cardinal's ring. After the ceremony, a small dinner is held. Cecilia talks with Tedeschi, who tells her he once loved science, but God showed him a different path. Cecilia shares her childhood trauma. When she was 12, the ice on a frozen lake broke, and she drowned. Her heart stopped for almost 7 minutes, but paramedics saved her. She believes God kept her alive for a reason. Later, Cecilia goes to the bathroom and hears someone crying. She follows the sound into the chapel and finds a woman praying on the floor behind the altar, wearing a strange red mask over her face. Suddenly, a voice behind her startles her. Mother Superior. She says the woman is just a nun lost in deep meditation. Mother Superior then places a small nail in Cecilia's hand, claiming it is a holy relic taken from Jesus' feet. Cecilia feels dizzy and collapses to the ground, unconscious. The next day, Cecilia goes to confession and apologizes, saying she drank too much wine at the ceremony, fainted, and embarrassed herself. She promises Mother Superior that she will do better. But inside the confession booth, the priest doesn't say a single word. He just stares at her and slowly disappears into the shadows. Before Cecilia can understand what is happening, two hands suddenly reach out from inside the wall and drag her backward. Terrified, she falls into a dark room where 5 nuns wearing red masks stand silently around her. Invisible hands grab her face, and one nun steps forward with a sharp knife. Cecilia screams and wakes up from the nightmare inside her room. She looks up and sees Francesca standing silently at the door, staring at her. When Cecilia turns on the lights, Francesca disappears. The next morning, Mother Superior assigns duties to all the new nuns. Gwen keeps talking and gets scolded. Isabel begins training them, cleaning old sick nuns, washing clothes, and even killing chickens for dinner. Over time, Gwen and Cecilia become close friends. They laugh and work together, even though they witness old nuns dying every day. One afternoon, Cecilia sees Isabel staring at her from a distance, but she disappears instantly. That night, Cecilia wakes up feeling someone touching her. She opens her eyes and sees Francesca cutting her hair. Francesca calls her blessed, saying everyone here loves her, but Cecilia can't understand her Italian. Cecilia walks Francesca to the infirmary and puts her to bed. While doing so, she notices strange cross-shaped marks on Francesca's feet. The next day, Cecilia tells Gwen everything and says this place isn't what she expected. Gwen shares her dark past. A boy used to beat her, and when she fought back, she was punished and forced to join a nun support group. That's where she found religion. Suddenly, Cecilia runs to the bathroom and throws up violently. Worried, she goes to Dr. Gallo, who takes some tests. While waiting, she looks out the window and sees a nun in a red mask walking alone. Suddenly, a crow smashes into the window, startling her. Later, Mother Superior takes her to the office where Cardinal Franco, Father Tedeschi, and Dr. Gallo are waiting. Franco angrily asks Cecilia if she was with a man. Cecilia swears she was not. Gallo says that when she first arrived, he examined her and confirmed she was completely pure. Mother Superior adds that no outside visitor has come here recently. She then quietly hides Cecilia's red file inside a drawer. Cecilia is taken to the infirmary, where Dr. Gallo performs an ultrasound, and the screen reveals that she is pregnant. Everyone is shocked, but Cardinal Franco immediately calls it a miracle from God, claiming the child is conceived without sin. Cecilia stares at the screen, trembling. Later, she asks Father Tedeschi why she was chosen. Tedeschi reminds her that when she fell into the frozen river as a child and her heart stopped for 7 minutes, God still saved her. Maybe that miracle was preparing her for this moment. Cecilia is dressed in special ceremonial robes and taken to the church where all the nuns sing hymns for her with devotion. 5 months later, Cecilia wakes up vomiting. Blood comes out of her mouth and one of her teeth falls out. When she walks to breakfast, everyone stands to show respect, except Gwen. Cecilia is served special food and they tell her she no longer has to work. Her only job now is to protect the child. After this, Cecilia goes to the bathroom to relax and take a bath. But suddenly, Isabel attacks her and tries to drown her underwater. They struggle fiercely, and Cecilia finally escapes by biting Isabel's hand. But Isabel jumps back again and pushes her under the water, screaming, "That miracle should have been mine." At that moment, several nuns rush in and drag Isabel away. Cecilia is left shocked and shaking. Later, she goes to Dr. Gallo, who checks her and says the baby is still safe. Cecilia asks why Isabel attacked her. But Father Tedeschi explains that Isabel has been mentally unstable, and something like this will never happen again. Scared, Cecilia begs them to take her to a real hospital because she has even lost a tooth. But Cardinal Franco and the others refuse. They say if the news spreads, she will not be safe outside. She must stay in the convent until the Savior is born. A little later, while walking outside, Cecilia sees 2 nuns wearing red masks watching her silently from a window. Suddenly, a nun falls from the roof. Cecilia runs to her and is horrified to see that it is Isabel, lying dead with her face completely smashed. The next day at her funeral, Gwen whispers that she doesn't trust this place and something terribly wrong is happening here. She also says she doesn't trust what's growing inside Cecilia. Father Tedeschi arrives, but Gwen ignores him and shouts in front of everyone, calling the whole convent liars. Things get out of control and Tedeschi and Enzo drag her away. That night, Cecilia cannot sleep. A chain holding a painting suddenly snaps, and the painting tilts down. When she tries to fix it, she finds a hidden message written in Italian behind it. She checks her Bible and discovers the meaning. Even the devil disguises himself as an angel of light. Horror fills her eyes. She searches for Gwen, but her room is empty. Cecilia sneaks into the office to take her red file, but the drawer is locked. She hears a faint sound and sees a light in the next room, but it quickly disappears. She finds a knife, breaks the lock, and grabs her file. Inside, she finds old newspaper clippings about her childhood accident and papers showing DNA records. Suddenly, Gwen screams for help somewhere outside. Cecilia follows the sound and reaches a wooden door. Through the keyhole, she sees Gwen tied to a chair, while the masked nuns cut her tongue with sharp tools. Terrified, Cecilia steps back, and someone grabs her from behind. But it's only Francesca. She gives Cecilia a charm made from her hair. Cecilia begs her for help and says she wants to escape. For the first time, Francesca speaks clear English and coldly says, "You will never leave this convent." The next morning, chaos erupts in the convent. Cecilia is screaming in her room, and blood is pouring from her stomach. Since Dr. Gallo is off duty, Mother Superior decides they must take her to a hospital. Tedeschi refuses at first, but Cecilia begs for her life, so they put her in the car. Back inside, Mother Superior begins to pray. She notices a feather on the floor and finds the same dead chicken Cecilia used to fake her bleeding. Meanwhile, Tedeschi gets a phone call and learns the truth. Cecilia realizes they've figured out everything and tries to escape, but the men grab her and drag her back. Back at the convent, Mother Superior throws ice-cold water on Cecilia. When Cecilia says, "God will not forgive you," the mother slaps her hard. They tie Cecilia to a wheelchair and take her to a secret room behind the altar. Now Cecilia finally understands the truth. Someone here forced her to become pregnant. Shocked and angry, she demands answers. Father Tedeschi explains that he found blood and bone fragments on a holy nail, and from that he discovered a genetic code of the Messiah. He reveals they are trying to bring Jesus back to life. Cecilia calls him insane, so Tedeschi shows her jars filled with failed experiments, proof that he has been trying this for 20 years, and he believes Cecilia is the perfect vessel. He was once a scientist, but when the world stopped him, he became a priest because the church allowed him to continue. All they needed was one miracle. Then he burns crosses onto her legs with hot iron and leaves her alone. Cecilia tries to escape but collapses in pain and cries helplessly. Weeks later, Cecilia sits in confession and asks questions, but the priest stays silent. Her nail breaks and a sticky fluid leaks from her finger. The priest calmly says that if this was not God's will, then God would have stopped them already. Days pass, and when the delivery date arrives, Dr. Gallo checks the baby through ultrasound. The creature inside moves violently. He steps out for medicine, leaving the door open by mistake. Cecilia grabs a cross and repeatedly hits Mother Superior until she dies. As she steps outside, her water breaks. The baby is coming. On the balcony, she strangles Franco with her rosary until he dies, and Dr. Gallo watches in terror and runs away. Cecilia takes Franco's lighter and reaches the chapel, screaming in pain. Instead of giving up, she grabs the holy nail and runs to the lab, spraying ethanol everywhere. Tedeschi arrives and calmly says that even if she dies, they will simply choose another girl. When Cecilia screams from pain, he tries to take her again, but she smashes a bottle on his head and locks him inside. She drops the lighter. The entire lab explodes into flames. She thinks it's over, but Tedeschi survives with a fire extinguisher and breaks through the door. Cecilia escapes down into an underground tunnel. She hides as Tedeschi searches for her. When he leaves, she turns on her torch and freezes in horror. Gwen's dead body lies in front of her. Terrified, Cecilia crawls through a hole leading outside. Just as she climbs up, Tedeschi grabs her from behind. He pins her down and tries to cut open her stomach with a scalpel. Screaming in agony, Cecilia grabs the holy nail from her pocket and stabs Tedeschi in the throat. He collapses and dies. Crying and shaking, Cecilia pushes his body away and escapes through the tunnel. Outside, her body finally gives up, and she falls to the ground, giving birth right there. She cuts the cord with her teeth and holds the newborn, but the baby makes terrifying animal-like sounds. Horrified and broken, Cecilia lifts a large stone and kills the creature, and that's the Immaculate. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more movie explanation videos.